G'day guys, and welcome back to the unofficial Karate Combat show. It has been a little bit of a while since we've recorded. So what have you been up to, Leon?
Me, well, apart from my wife, had a baby, so that was a little while ago, about 4 weeks ago. So baby's doing well, and then I had my fight about five days later, my MMA fight, which you watched, and
Yep.
some of the boys watched, which went well. I won in 3 rounds. I didn't get the knockout that I wanted, but yeah, it was a great experience. Fighting more of a grappler, but using karate against him.
Was he a blue belt
Yeah,
or
blue belt
purple
in
belt?
jits, and had a fight before, and yeah, no, it was great using karate against non-karate people, but yeah, it a bit like Josh Quayhagen said. I understand what he's talking about now, like, because while we're karate, we kind of got to go in and out, because when we go in and stay in the clinch, they're looking to take you down and obviously grapple. Whereas when I'm fighting karate now, I'm more pushing and pressuring. So it's I definitely understand what Josh said about him. The way he fights in karate combat, how he pressures and fights. That's nice to be able to fight that way instead of always when he was doing MMA, getting in and out, getting in and out. So, and the other thing that really hit home that Josh said last time, talking about the fight underneath the fight, is in that first round, I felt like he was beating me because he got a rear naked choke at the end. I had my chin in, and it was 10-second.
End of the first round.
Yeah, end of the first round,
close.
And I felt like I was losing. But looking back on that round, I possibly did win that round as well. But then in that second round where I was sprawling his double legs really well, then it's like it shifted. And
he couldn't touch you in it.
Yeah, then I was just having fun, and by the third round, I knew that the fight was mine. And
what was the best advice that you heard on the night? Footwork?
Is that what you were shouting the whole time? Footwork.
Yeah.
The best advice, honestly, I think was from Sergi when he said enjoy it, because I did enjoy every moment of that, not just the fight, but I enjoyed walking on. I enjoyed waiting for my fight to be announced, being underneath, looking at the trees, listening to music. I enjoyed getting my hands wrapped. I enjoyed the atmosphere of the room. And through enjoying it, I remember it so much better. I think when I started having fun in the ring, that's when I actually fought better. And when you're having fun, you perform better. It goes hand in hand.
Did you enjoy the training? Because I say that because Varga, who we'll talk about later, loves the training.
And I heard that
not
when
the
they were
fight.
talking about that.
He
only fight. He doesn't like to fight. He only
loves the
fights, so
training.
he trains. I enjoy the training. I mean, I did, trained this morning, BJJ, and I just enjoyed doing it. I would have enjoyed it more if I'd been able to train a bit more, to be honest. But it is what it is. So anyway, should we get into the fights? Enough about me. Let's
crack into it. Let's crack into it. So, first fight we have is our lightweight Gabo Diaz from Venezuela fighting Sammy Ekinali from Espanol.
I think you nailed that name, definitely.
So
I'll do the names from now on.
Yeah, good. You can do the French when there's actually a few.
I gotta talk about French just while you mention it. When we'll talk. I forget which fight it was. I think it was one of the Canadians, and they asked GSP. They said, "Oh, George, can you translate for us?"
Yeah,
and then he's read out. I wish I'd written it down because I'd love to translate it for you. But the thing is, you can't really translate it because what is in French, when you swear, it's way better than in English. And honestly, it's so much more colorful. Because in English, what have we got swear words? We've got shit. We've got fuck. We've got the C bomb, and that's pretty much it, right? But in French, when they swear, it's just a lot more colorful. It's a lot more picturesque. So he's descriptive. He's there telling him, because after he said that, then I rewound it and listened to it about 3 or 4 times, just that French bit, because it was actually a great little pump up, basically just telling him to go hard, but with a lot of swearing. But the swearing's like, you're now at the final whorehouse of shit, and you've got to pull out, like it's just I'll if you guys want, I'll translate it properly because GSP didn't do it.
Yeah.
Just chuck it in the comments and I'll re-listen to it and I'll translate it for you. But yeah,
Well,
that coach, he was just firing up. So
because it's live on YouTube, I don't think they can have swearing. But at the KC36, they had Ericsson on there who dropped the F-bomb.
yeah,
Live. So
yeah,
what
I
can
mean,
you
if it's
do?
live, it's
What can
live.
you do?
Yeah.
But I thought this there were no problems watching it live. There's no delays, which is awesome.
Oh, really?
Last
Yeah.
time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it. You were saying there was like 7,000 people watching it live.
Yeah.
But myself and obviously, how many people watch it afterwards?
Well, the last one, so 150,000 watch it after the fact.
Yeah. I mean, because I've got family commitments and that, so
yeah.
I watched it probably a couple of hours after it happened, and then a couple of fights here, a couple of fights there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great that you can actually restream it, and it's great that Karate Combat offers that for free.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
So when we have Adam Kovacs on, we'll ask him about how that works sponsorship wise. Also sponsors, we're looking for one.
We're open.
Also, if anybody wants to jump on and produce a show, that would be great. We can go from like 20 people watching it to maybe 200. But anyway, let's get into it. So if you're watching, you had to be sharp right from the start because Diaz comes out, does an awesome spinning hook kick. Very, very, very much after touching gloves.
Well, it was touch gloves into the kick.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw it, it reminded me of Riste, one of the Australian karate WKF fighters that I used to fight with when we were young. We were at the Hungarian Open, which was the first international that I ever won. And then he was also in the finals. And he did the same kind of thing. So, you touch gloves, but he's gone touch gloves, boom, body kick, hard as well. And Yame scored the point, and the whole crowd booed him.
Yeah.
And then he had the whole crowd against him for that fight. Luckily he still won, but yeah, well, your mate Serge, it's a gray area move.
It is a bad area because your mate Serge, and I know he'll be watching it. I fought him ages ago, and my contact lens fell out, so everybody sort of stopped. And yeah, mate. So I found my contact, put it in, back to Yoy, and like rubbing my eye. And so I've come forward to say, yeah, thanks, bro. And he's bang, whipped me straight for a round kick into the body. Ended up beating me 2-1. I'm like, son of a bitch. So, Serge, if you're listening,
you got to be ready.
You got to be, yeah, well, but we're mates.
But yeah, so look, it didn't really nail him with that spinning hook kick, but definitely set the tone for that.
Oh,
Jesus, it's off. There was no feeling it out.
Well, it set the tone for the whole day.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
A lot of heavy action.
It was really brutal. I was talking to somebody yesterday about it, and this guy's a big fan. He was actually there as well. Lives in Florida, and he said this one was the most brutal one he's seen right from the start.
Well, a lot of TKOs, KOs, kind of finishes, yeah.
And some
no extra times.
No extra times. No, that's right. Yeah,
there was one or two. I thought, oh, maybe, but
maybe.
There was no extra rounds.
Some of the judging.
Well, we'll talk about the judging, especially in that reverse fight later on. But let's get back to Diaz.
Yeah,
and Carly.
You had some notes as well.
Oh yeah. Well, basically because who is it that's WKF? Is it Diaz or is it Carly with it? Who's coming from WKF fighting? It's his first fight, right?
Yeah, that I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well,
was it this?
Yeah, it was this one.
Look, I wouldn't say most of them, but at least half of them are some stage a WKF or that equivalent.
Well, these guys, it was both their first fight. They're both 0-0.
Yeah.
Before this, and but yeah, he was basically long distance, keeping his distance, and he was hitting him, but he wasn't hitting him.
Garbo came out and said, I actually wrote the notes that Sammy and Carla, Sammy. That's why I wrote Sammy.
Sammy
doesn't know how to fight full contact.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
said he's going to teach him how to fight full contact because Garbo has done some kickboxing MMA matches or
Yeah,
what have you,
yeah.
whereas Sammy
And
had
look,
not.
it definitely, I mean, for me, when I was doing my fight, I kicked the guy a few times in the head, and because I'm so used to touching, when I hit, I didn't hit as hard as I should have. There was a few times where I kicked him in the head, like with a hook kick. It really should have done a lot more damage. But when you're kind of in the moment, you're tired, you kind of fall back onto what you naturally do. You know, go into your normal instincts, your normal muscle memory.
Yeah.
And I think, Sammy, he started off, you know, just hitting him really clean timing, but like not really nailing it. And by the second round,
yeah,
he was putting him through though.
Actually,
so
you're right.
Good on him.
He was coming forward and going 1, 2, and then there's no follow up.
Just doing
sort of
kind of singles, doubles, yeah.
Just like you do at a WKF match.
But he changed. He changed halfway through the fight. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he got through halfway because the third round dislocated his shoulder.
Yeah. Well,
he wanted to fight on.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
He's good. Just pop it back in. It's Bruce Willis. Pop it back in, brother.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean,
was it Robin Black talking about?
Good on him. Yeah, good on him for wanting to fight on. Do you think he would have won without that dislocation?
Well, I had the first round 50-50. I had the second round. Sammy went in the second. So it really just depends on what happened in the first round.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to say, but look, at the same time, because obviously there's a few injuries that produced, TKOs, I guess. And I always thought this when I was competing in WKF, because you can take somebody down with a good takedown, and they injure themselves, and so they can't fight on, but they need to break fall properly. That is also part of the skill set, because you're not just fighting the other person. In fact, some people say you're not fighting the other person. You're only fighting yourself. That is your biggest enemy. So if you lose, you beat yourself. Well, that's your fault. If you didn't break fall properly, well, that's your fault, because break falling is a part of karate.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a part of the game. And so if
this one was a little different,
well, he kind of had his hand. He probably should have gone for a roll instead of a break fall. So
he was just pushing out, and then went too far.
But
look, I thought he's good. He's young.
Oh, he fought well.
He has
I think he's
got
reach, a lot more coming, and now that he's felt it, he'll probably be much improved the next time we see him. So but I mean, it's obviously nobody likes losing that way. But no one really likes winning that way either. It's kind of not satisfying to win via
of course,
whether it be disqualification or the person gets injured.
It's unfulfilled.
I mean, the best is you knock them out. That's the win that everyone's after.
That's a definitive.
I mean, that's the goal, isn't it? So,
well, I did make some notes about what's his name, Diaz doing he did, I think, 2 or 3 spinning back fists. And it caught Sammy by surprise, because Sammy's sort of sitting in that pocket, and he just turned bang.
And I think like one of them, it was almost a spinning elbow.
I
know it was elbow, but it was the back fist. And if you're too close, you caught the elbow. And
which you're not allowed to do.
You're not allowed to do an elbow, but it's not if they moved in. I mean, if you're not doing that, and you're doing that, and it hits your elbow, it is also different. That's a point.
You can't attack with your elbow.
It's not.
So but who did you have in the first and second?
Well, that was the first one I was writing down, so I didn't actually. I only started doing that later, but I just.
It doesn't matter anyway, because there was no
contest.
No contest. So, but another good start to an event. They are getting better. Like every time the KC36 was fantastic, and KC37.
I think almost every fight. That was really good in their own way, in different ways.
Do you find it's looking more and more like a couple of years ago? It looked more like WKF guys who had changed over, and now it's starting. They've got
to develop into its own.
Their own movement.
To develop into its own thing.
You can see guys like Varga who are totally different. we'll talk about him later, but how he fights and how the more mainstream WKF or Taekwondo or Tang Sudo guys, it's a little.
Oh no, there's heaps of different style of fighters now.
Yeah.
It was heaps more WKF at the start, and like you were saying, you got Varga, who was very kickboxing style, the way he kind of moves in. You had that Swedish guy who was kind of more boxing style. So So Nunes and Stan Kunis from Brazil. Maximo.
Hey man.
What, Nunes?
I said the whole name.
Oh, well, just surname's fine, isn't it? Maximo Nunes versus Gabriel Stankunas.
Oh, you got the easy ones.
It's easy when I say it.
Yeah. Now, this was a little controversial.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. And
What's it?
Well, I had Nunes winning the first and the third round.
Oh, okay.
And Stankunas in the second. However, Stankunas did get the win. Now, I was okay with it. I did think Nunes dominated the fight a bit more.
No, see, I had Stankunas, Nunes.
Okay.
So
obviously it was
close fight,
a very close fight, but I thought he was dominant, Nunes, especially in the first round. But
I like, I actually didn't put the 9-10, so I've just written there, but that might be wrong for me. But what I did like about Nunes in that first round is his cheekiness after his hits, like a little bit of that, I'm going to hit you here or punch me here, and then after he hit, just a bit of playfulness, without being disrespectful, but having a bit of fun and kind of playing a bit of a mental game, I guess, as well.
I had him as loose as goose in the first round. Second round started to stiffen up. So I think by then Stankunas was in his face a bit more. So I had Nunes as a little stiffer and a little slower in the second.
I had Nunes great kicks in the first round, especially. Great distance control, finding his shots, really good distance control the whole fight. So that's why
although he did have a few illegal strikes, and the commentary actually said, hey, the referee's not picking up those illegal because you're not supposed to hit the back of the head. When you're grounding and pounding,
the knee
on the ground. So there was a few of those, but
he did do some good ground and pound, Nunes.
He did some great takedowns.
Round 2. Actually, I kind of, you say it, I've written a lot of great things about Nunes here. Like finally in the third round, cutting him off and using his boxing skills. But I'd have to watch it again to really.
Have you turned?
Yeah.
I've turned you to Nunes.
Maybe. Well, I didn't write down like 9-10s or anything. So, but.
Well, the guy I was talking to who was in Florida, who was there, he thought Nunes had won as well.
Well, I guess because apparently Nunes won his first fight. It was a bit controversial there that he won his first fight. They reckon he shouldn't have won it.
Right. So you think
so I guess karma evens out. I don't know.
Well, I'd hate to think that, but karma.
But Stankunas was circling. I remember the fight now. He was circling really well.
Great footwork.
Great footwork. And it was, for me, it was really probably just the third round that Nunes finally found his spot, cramming him and moving in and keeping it in the boxing range. So, his footwork was definitely great. And distance control. And I guess distance control is, in my opinion, the most important thing. Control the distance, you control the fight.
Especially if you control your opponent's distance rather than your own.
Well, the distance. If you're controlling the distance of the fight through whatever means, whether that be faking or moving yourself or just kind of keeping away.
Well, I think I see a lot of fighters, inexperienced fighters. I'm not talking about these guys, but inexperienced fighters go out and look at themselves rather than looking at the person they're fighting, and they're worried about their distance rather than worrying about the opponent's distance,
where they're moving to.
And but anyway, tight finish, could have gone either way. I had Nunes, you had Stankunas.
I think so.
Well, Stankunas got the win.
So I was right.
this time. All right, let's move on to
Andres Madera from Venezuela versus Maciek Terchak from Poland.
Oh,
See, nailed it.
Nice. Now we did break for 10 minutes for you to practice that, and but have you noticed that they didn't say WKF style, they say Olympic style karate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's
easier to say.
It's people know it.
Yeah,
people know it. I guess I was going to say that's what it is, but it's not in the Olympics anymore. So arguably that's what it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
thank God, man.
Get back, but
anyway, this is not a podcast to talk about.
But Madera has obviously competed at the Tokyo Olympics.
Yep.
So he's moving in that style, and you've got a Kyokushin style fighter. So a great stylistic matchup.
Totally. And he had a tattoo. The old
did he?
The Kyokushin.
Yeah, that's classic.
He had a few, but you could see the Kyokushin. They got the red.
Yeah, I know the one. Yeah, no, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Yeah,
it was. I saw it. That was the first thing I saw. Wow, Kyokushin fighter. And I think GSP was Kyokushin too.
Yeah, it was. He was. Yeah.
So, but yeah.
And you could really tell in the fight that he was a Kyokushin fighter.
Oh, totally.
Because, those leg kicks was just leg kicks, a lot of leg kicks.
Kyokushin fighter must find it hard not to kick the thigh because they just chop the thigh, right? Well, now they can't chop the thigh; they've got to chop the.
I find it hard to not kick the thigh when I was doing my MMA fight, and I had been practicing calf kicks, but even from my limited Kyokushin experience, the thigh is just an easier target.
Yeah.
Even though the calf is closer, I guess it's just
harder to kick.
So
hard to kick with power.
I mean, we could discuss the thigh kicks. I think there's nothing wrong with a thigh kick. I don't see why not have the thigh kick.
Well, I think if they had the thigh kick, then you wouldn't see the longer stance side on fighters like we have now in the WKF fighters.
Why?
Because that thigh will get eaten straight away.
But the calf can get eaten.
Yes, but as you said, it's a lot harder to kick.
You move.
Yeah, but the calf is much harder to kick because you've got to get down lower for that.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I still did my long stance. Wonder Boy still does a long stance. You've got a lot of karate fighters still do a long stance in UFC where thigh kicks are allowed. You just move out of the way, or
if thigh kicks came in, there'd be more Kyokushin fighters coming in.
Look, I don't think it would be a negative thing personally. And I actually hope that they bring that in eventually the same way they brought in these. I think it would be, it's just another element to play with, to think about. And the more elements that are there, the more different types of fighters that you have. And the more that people have to work around it. Because, Karate Combat is becoming one of the, I would say it's mixed martial arts, because while it is karate combat and it is predominantly karate, as you said, the types of fighters coming in now are different, so it's karate combat rules, but a lot of them have done some karate and then done a lot of kickboxing or, some karate and a lot of, taekwondo or this or that. So I think there's a case to be made for thigh kicks personally.
Well, another question for Adam.
Yeah. I mean, not.
I'm sure they've discussed
not oblique kicks and knee joint kicks. I think that's I think that. But a thigh kick, you can kick someone as hard as you want in the body, in the head, in the calf, but you can't kick him in the thigh. For me, that seems strange, personally. But back to this fight, Madera.
We're solving
his timing. His gap to the head timing, just fantastic. You can tell that he's coming from that point sparring background. His time was just boom on point. Yeah. And he did do some flurries. And he talked to the commentators before about changing from the single techniques, and he did do some really nice hand flurries. And I had him winning the first round. What did you have?
Yep. I had winning him in all.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
I just thought Madera controlled the distance with his front hand. His front hand was like a barrier that Terchak couldn't get around. he just couldn't get into that pocket. He just kept controlling with that front hand.
I just said in the second round, like Turchak had some great calf kicks. I mean, obviously he went for a head kick, and Madeira did a fantastic takedown. I don't know if you remember that, but great timing, yeah. But
I used to love doing those ones.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best time to take someone down as it into the head. But you've got to have the timing for it, and that's what the point sparring gives you.
Well, when our Japanese instructor came out, we had Queensland training, and I was still in the Queensland team, and I was fighting this guy Tommy, and he did a hook kick, and I just grabbed it, swept the other leg, followed, bang, looked over, and my sensor's like, nice, like the classic at the end of Karate Kid, you know, he's like, now he's like, yeah, nice, bro. I'm like, yeah. But anyway, and that's what it reminded me of. So that's why I gave Madeira first, second, and third.
I think in the second round, Turchak did a lot of good calf kicks, and they seemed hard. And
his kicks, his legs would be like iron.
Yeah.
But I did think Madeira was a better circular, understood the distance more, and Turchak just couldn't get into that pocket, just couldn't get in, couldn't put enough pressure on him, and then
I mean, at the end of the day, third round TKO anyway. So you know, and they talked about this a lot on the event, and I noticed this too in MMA, because obviously there's the small, they're basically the same as the Karate Combat gloves.
Yep.
Not
as thick.
Is you can't.
Not as much padding.
The ones that I fought with are. Okay. So the ones that I fought with are basically the Karate Combat gloves.
Not according to Baz Rutten. He loves it. Not Baz Rutten, well, Baz Rutten, and also Joe Rogan.
No. But the UFC, so the UFC gloves are 4 ounce.
I'm trying to get us a sponsorship here, bro.
UFC gloves are 4 ounce. You definitely can't block with those. The ones that I did with MMA, they're the same as Karate Combat. They're 7 ounce gloves. Even then, that's what I wrote down. You can't just gloves up. Yeah. And that's essentially what he did. He was just hands up, and he was just taking big hits, and he just got opened up on. And there's only so many, that you can take even with those hands up, because they don't take much damage. So, good TKO.
Yeah, and it was a correct decision to come in and stop that fight, because Turchak couldn't. He had nothing, man. He couldn't fight back.
No, he was just
bang, bang. Yeah. Like he's still hands up and moving, and but
a couple more seconds he would have been knocked out cold.
That's right. Yeah.
And look, as much as we all love a knockout, we love a knockout when the guy's coming in, the timing's perfect, and it's so clean. It's just but when it's just one guy's kind of just getting hit, and it's just him getting hit and hit over again, and you already know it's over.
Yeah.
There's no point getting brain damage for no reason.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you're right. It was a great call for the ref, pulling that up.
And I do think the Karate Combat referees, they stopped the fight probably earlier than a UFC or a one championship or whatever.
They do look after the athletes.
Yeah, that's right, because they consider them to be athletes as well. And rather than it's not a pub fight.
Yeah.
So, but Madeira was fantastic.
They consider them athletes, but not players. Not players. Yeah. As you can see from the Karate Combat shirt.
Thank you to Karate Combat and Dane for sending it to me. That's awesome. So, bro.
Unfortunately, they sent too large and as big as I am. So no, they're sending us a medium. So we appreciate that. Thanks a lot. I actually didn't realize it was that shirt when you told me. When we were watching Karate Combat and I saw that shirt, I was like, yes, so true. Because I hate it. I hate it when people say, they say, oh, what sport do you do? They're expecting you to say, play soccer on the weekends or whatever. And you go, I do karate. And they go, oh, you play karate? And I'm like, no, I don't play karate.
Read the shirt.
Yeah, I do karate. Yeah. I don't play.
So the way I look at this
I used to play when I was younger because I'm a bit of a player, but not anymore. I don't play.
The way I interpret this shirt is WKF is play karate.
Is that what you reckon?
I think they're inferring it with it, but what not just WKF. We talk about WKF because it's our background.
Yeah.
But there are other
and the dominant kind of
the biggest one. Well, is it? Yeah, because you've got the sports karate thing in the US. what's it called? Where they do those big kios.
Oh, Iska.
Iska.
Yeah.
Iska is huge, man. Iska is massive.
Yeah. True.
And
True.
that is more.
I mean, that's
more tag karate.
Yeah, Iska.
Yeah, I've never competed in it, but
I've done Iska, NAS, all those things. Yeah, I mean, WKF at least you can smack them in the body as hard as you want.
Yeah.
Where those ones, it's you don't even have to be close, or you can punch them and fall over and get a point. So,
well, I think WKF is probably closer to what karate is, and compared to the Iska or AMAC or NAS or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there's heaps of. Yeah.
There's heaps, yeah. So probably WKF may be the biggest. It's definitely the strongest.
Global. Yeah, I mean, they're the Olympics, so
they're the Olympics. Yeah, that's a good thing or bad thing.
It's a big thing.
But Madeira, awesome win, awesome win. I can't wait to watch him fight more. And so yeah, anything else to add there, mate?
All right,
let's move on. All right. Next one, bro. Middleweight. You're good with the names?
Am I?
Yeah.
Down. So Rob Buxton from Canada and Sasha Palatnikov. So he's obviously with that surname, not from Hong Kong originally, not born in Hong Kong, but he's fighting under the Hong Kong banner. Well, his heritage is Palatnikov. Sounds Russian-y,
but he's
around that kind of.
He's speaking perfect American.
Oh yeah. So maybe
it's hard. It's hard to.
But the thing is, his fighting name. You got Buxton Buckshot, and you got Sasha Guaylo, which for those of you who don't know is a how would you translate it?
Foreigner
into
round eye.
Yeah, white devil.
White devil. Is that
Guaylo literally
is
just like somebody from outside, but it has more connotations to it. I guess it's a bit like calling someone a cracker, a little bit. If you say it in
we're allowed to say that.
Like it's a bit of a it's a bit. Well, that's what I mean. It's a bit of a racial. There's a bit of a racial implication in it. But I guess he's leaned into that. Maybe he got called that as a kid. We can ask him if we ever get to interview him. Like maybe he got called that as a kid, and then instead of like kind of maybe got bullied a bit being called Guaylo, instead of leaned into it and said, yeah, well, that's me. So
I'd love to have
a really interesting fighting name.
Great.
Honestly,
I was like, oh my god, I got to write that down. I didn't write anybody else's fighter name, but what is interesting also. So is that Cantonese or is that Mandarin?
I think it's Mandarin.
Because Hong Kong is
maybe
Cantonese speaking.
I'm not sure.
I'm actually having dinner tonight with somebody from Hong Kong. I'll ask them.
Yeah.
And then we'll find out.
Okay.
Stay tuned. But and he had a rugby background too. Did you hear that?
No.
He played Russia.
No, that's he played like everything.
Rugby in Russia. Okay. Yeah. Two things. Rugby is not big in Russia, and how could you be a professional rugby player in Russia? There's only like a handful of countries where you can be a professional rugby player, and Russia is not one of them.
No.
Australia played Russia 10 years ago, rugby league, and beat them like 120-0. So I don't know. How can you be a professional? Maybe if we talk to him, we'll clarify a few things.
Yeah.
But Karate Combat were playing the Miyagi-Do versus Cobra Kai. Did you see this?
This fight, I vaguely remember.
Because Rob Buxton from Canada is a Teng Sudo.
True.
And Sasha is a Goji Kai.
So that's it. That's what it is.
Teng Sudo, Kai. Is Cobra Kai. Goju Kai, Gojuru is Miyagi-Do. Not Miyagi-Do, Miyagi-Do. And Teng Sudo.
Okay, so let's talk about. So do you say karate?
Look,
or do you say karate?
I say. So on my other podcast, I flip and flop depending on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to you, I say karate.
Yeah.
But if I'm talking to a researcher or somebody who's more experienced than me, and if they start saying karate, and then I will say it. But otherwise, look, you don't want to sound like a pretentious douchebag saying karate, kobudo.
Yeah.
But definitely for Miyagi-Do because it's not Miyagi-Do, it's Miyagi-Do. You know what I mean? Like it's just a little bit.
I mean, I guess that one as well is it's Miyagi is a name,
Yes.
right? So it's kind of like you're pronouncing somebody's name as opposed to a word. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I know it's a word.
You don't say Miyagi. You say Miyagi.
Yeah.
And so if you're gonna lean in to the Japanese or Okinawan name, why not just go Miyagi-Do? Because if they started Miyagi-Do right from the start, everybody's saying Miyagi-Do rather than Miyagi-Do. Like, oh, it grates me. Even though I'm not a Goju practitioner, just that name. And also Teng Sudo. Tongue Sudo is tongue is means China. And for those who don't realize, before karate, there you go, was called empty hand, in 1936, it was called China hand. So you have Tang Sudo, which means the way of the Chinese martial arts. And if you didn't know, Tang Sudo comes from karate or karate. So in Korea, Tang is the same as Japanese and the same as Okinawan. Tang refers to the Chinese dynasty. And then that's how you have Tang Sudo. So that is a Korean name it's what Chuck Norris did. Tang Sudo. So it's a Korean martial art, but it is a Japanese version of an Okinawan version, or a Korean version of a Japanese version of an Okinawan martial art. So that's where the Tang Sudo comes from. So is it Korean? Yes and no. As much as Taekwondo is Korean, as much as karate is Japanese or karate is Okinawan, but that's where Tang Sudo is. So I find it strange that there's a Tang Sudo fighter here. It's
do you reckon you just put that on because of Cobra Kai or
well, no, I mean Tang Sudo is quite big.
But I noticed that a lot this time. So you got a Tang Sudo fighter.
You have a TKD.
You had a type.
No, TKD, not Taekwondo.
Because I saw
it is Taekwondo. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The same as Villa is Taekwondo, but they put TKD just to. Well, look, Taekwondo is karate. Japan invaded Korea, and that's where Taekwondo came from. Taekwondo is from specifically Shoto-based karate. So yeah, it is. Is Taekwondo a style of karate? Yes and no. No and yes. More the merrier. Kyokushin is as close to karate as Taekwondo is, I suppose. Like,
yeah, depend. Like, where's the line between a new martial art and a different style of the same martial art? You know, it's like, is it a new language or is it a dialect? It's sometimes it can be a dialect for a while and enough people do it and then it's a new language.
Yeah. Well, look, I will say that Taekwondo is a style of martial arts. It's a Korean martial art. It definitely has roots in Japanese and Okinawan karate, but I think because previous to it being called Taekwondo, it was called Tang Sudo. And the Korean government changed the name from Tang Sudo to Taekwondo. I think it would have been early 60s.
You can't really have a national sport called
Chinese martial arts. And that is exactly why karate changed their name as well. 1936 changed it from Chinese martial arts because at that time, Japan, China didn't have a good relationship, had changed their name with other things too, but changed it to something that sounds like kara. And so that becomes empty hand. You know, karage, the chicken?
Yeah.
That is China.
Do I know it?
I know it. I had some today. So that is the same character.
Yeah.
Karate. So that means Tang.
Empty
Chinese,
chicken.
No, Chinese martial art. Chinese chicken. So
is that where the song comes from?
Chinese chicken. Maybe. We're solving problems or creating more. But anyway, let's get back to the fight. Let's really here to. Are they? Is anybody listening? Yeah.
Where you at there? No. So what have you got written here? Buxton looks like he has a height advantage, but didn't use it well.
Yeah. I did think Palandikov, bro, he's hard ass. He is hard. It didn't even get past the first round. So what happened was there wasn't much happening, and then Sasha Paletnikov, I just call him Sasha, it's just a little easier to say. Sasha got a poke, an accidental poke.
That's right. I remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got poked in the eye. Took a little while, took his time.
For sure, he's got 5 minutes.
He didn't take the full 5 minutes.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, so he could have. But he could have. Yeah.
Especially like if it's a niggling knee or ankle, you can sort of like you can brush it off and move around. But a poke in the eye when you're fighting, no, because the distance is totally changed. The confidence, the range, like it's really hard.
Yeah.
And
he went hard after that.
He went hard after that.
He wasn't happy after that. Yeah.
I don't know if he wasn't happy.
No, just like he fired up.
Yeah, he fired up.
I think he said afterwards, he goes, every time I get, was that him?
Yeah, he gets poked.
Every time he fights, he has to get poked in the eye or kicked in the nuts.
Goal.
And, so he's just used to it.
Yeah, and he smashed it.
But I'm the same. Like if I get hit hard in the face, I go back harder. Like it fires. It doesn't break me down. It fires me up to fight harder.
Yeah.
I've never been poked in the eye in competition.
Have you?
Been poked in the eye at training and stuff. And usually it's then just take 5 minutes and just skip the next round, because if you get hit in the eye when it's already damaged or recovering, that's how you get. I mean, the only time that I kept fighting, I got punched in the eye hard once at I think it was my second dan grading or one of my black belt gradings. And sensei just keep fighting, got punched in there again. And that's where I've got the only cobweb, or what is it called?
You mean like a floater?
A floater.
Yeah.
That's the only. I've got 20/20 vision. That's the only damage I've got is from that. It's getting punched in the eye when the eye was still covering.
Yeah.
And if I look at this white thing, I see it every time. Yeah. So normally you get if you get poked in the eye or something training, you just sit out until your eyes heal.
Because that's seeing again.
Yeah. So, but it's never happened to me, thankfully, in combat. So
it happened once when I was maybe 15 or 16. I can't remember who I was fighting in the nationals, but it felt like first knuckle into my eyeball. And the first thing, because you can't, there's no senses. You just sort of like drop to the floor. You don't know what's going on. Like, where am I?
Yeah.
But
it go black. Yeah.
Yeah, it was black. Yeah, totally. So don't worry, I end up winning. Alrighty. But yeah, it was. Look, I'd like to see more of Buxton. We just didn't get to see much of him because
the first round finish. So.
Sasha just smashed him. Yeah. So he came out. It was 45 seconds. And as I wrote here, Sasha got him with one of the cleanest shots of the night, right on the chin, right on the chin. So, good match. And yeah, we can try to reach out. Sasha, if you're listening, you want to jump onto our podcast, let us know. If any of the fighters that are listening, I know some of them are watching.
Okay.
Some of them are watching. So
I'm going to say anything that offends you guys, because we love you. We all respect you all.
Totally.
Yeah.
Our opinion is Leon's. I'll send you his mailing address. But it is a good point to say, Leon and I are not. We just love the Karate Combat. We're not experts. We don't know every fighter's background, details, where they came from, and how many UFC fights. We do a little bit of research, but we're just a couple of dudes who just love talking about Karate Combat, love having a beer and just sharing our thoughts. So, don't think that you're going to learn, about the Karate Combat fighter, unless we interview them. So, but yeah, look.
And that said, if you're a Karate Combat fighter that's listening and we're talking crap about you that isn't right, reach out and we'll interview you.
Yeah.
We'll sort it out and we'll get it straight.
Yeah. We'll solve some dramas. But anyway, let's move on to the next fight, eh? Alrighty. Let's go. Next fight, please, Leon.
Samuel Eriksson from Sweden versus Tarek Khalifi from Algeria. And there was a lot of pre-game talk from both of these guys.
Well, yeah, it was great.
Like it was kind of UFC boxing feeling, of that pre-game talk where they both and it did make me buy in a bit more. I got to be honest, because I haven't seen these guys fight before.
Yeah.
It did make me buy in a bit more to the fighters.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that beforehand, you had
The narrative.
Tarek, the narrative, Tarek saying he's not going to put me away. He's going to have to kill me to put me down.
Yeah, yeah.
And, they're both putting it all on the line and talking real big. And so obviously when you talk big, well, you got to make sure you win. And when both people are talking big, wow, really, you become interested in who's gonna be pulling it off and who's not gonna be pulling it off.
Well, it was so intriguing that even my wife watched it.
Oh, really?
So she's Korean, and when it came on, I said, "Oh, there's a Korean fighter." She's like, "Oh, really?" And then we both watched the whole fight. It's the first time she's ever watched anything.
Oh, really? I mean, is Korean background.
Korean background.
Well,
adopted to Sweden.
So, I think
well, they called him a TKD fighter.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any.
I
didn't see anything that looked like anything at all. He was
like a boxer.
More like a boxer than anything. But he's a beast. Did you see that?
He's a unit.
He is. Yeah. He's just like a rectangle with legs and arms.
Yeah. Well, he's super, obviously, with his, through Instagram or with all that fitness stuff. He's a fitness guru, I guess. And, people often say that the stuff he's doing is sped up. That's not real. So he's got kind of something.
He's quick. Holy Jesus, he's fast. We'd love to have a chat to him on that.
Yeah, love to.
Get him
Absolutely
on,
love to. Yeah, like I really, really actually surprisingly really enjoyed that fight because I haven't heard of these guys before. And obviously that's one thing that I noticed this time. So the previous up until this Karate Combat, because I'm watching it not live, I usually just watch the fights. So I just kind of fast forward to the next fight, because I'm like, oh, well, this is just ads essentially. But this time, for a lot of it, I didn't fast forward and I actually watched. So say with these guys, I actually watched the pre-game talk. Also watched the commentators talk in between the fights and their breakdowns about various things. So you get to learn a bit more about the fighters or what's going on. And I've got to be honest, it actually made it way better, a much more enjoyable experience. Karate Combat has done an amazing production value on those in-betweens, not just the fights.
It's like when you go into somebody's dojo, or if you're going to learn off, sensei this or sensei that, you actually learn more at the dinner and drinks than you do in the training. And that's when you're listening to Baz and GSP and Wonderboy when he's there, and even the commentator and Robin Black. I thought Robin Black was awesome this time. He was so good. He wasn't too over the top and crazy.
He reminds me of, have you
your uncle?
No. So in Hunger Games, have you seen Hunger Games? Yeah. He reminds me of the commentator in Hunger Games, especially with that makeup that he had on for a lot of the times.
Well, he's an ex-glam rocker.
Yeah. So he's got that, that
I think he toned it down a bit.
Yeah.
And man,
but his energy and he's actually very knowledgeable.
Oh yeah.
Like very knowledgeable.
He's done fights.
On each of the fighters, like he must have studied, because the way he talks about him when he does that, when he did like that 4 or 5 fighter breakdown in a minute.
Yeah.
And
that was awesome.
He's just reeling it off. And not only does he know the fighters, but his control of the English language is actually amazing, because when he did that, he did not use the same adjective twice. Like I can't remember the words he used, but I was like, oh wow.
I think he's Canadian.
Yeah, his use of the English language is
man, it was
very good.
It was great. Yeah, he was like an actor.
Yeah.
So is he an actor?
I don't know, but it's like he's just good at talking.
He's great.
He's a great presenter.
At first, I thought it was a bit odd to have him. But now he's great.
Because I didn't know
brings
who
a different vibe.
Yeah. He's very energetic. Yeah, that kind of American, like
yeah.
But he does it just great. Yeah.
Just enough.
Yeah.
Just enough.
That time was really good.
But so back to the fight. But so Khalifi, I had Khalifi, and it's hard to. We do write notes and stuff like that, but we also enjoy we just want to sit down and watch it. But
that's why sometimes I've got no notes. I've got here's the fight,
just getting through, especially with the narrative with these guys. But so both are pretty big following on Instagram, but Ericsson, I think he's got like 400,000 or 500,000.
No, he's got a huge one.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, we're getting there. We'll get
4
there.
or 500,000. A few away. A few 489,000 away. But
so hit that subscribe button if you are listening, because we need it.
Yeah. Subscribe on YouTube, Instagram. I'm on this other thing. I forgot what it's called. Well, that sucks. I forgot what I use.
Bumble?
Nah.
Are you on Bumble?
I don't know what that is. No.
Tinder. It's like a Tinder.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Grinder. You're on Grinder.
I know that one.
Yeah, you are.
No, I had to cancel that one. All right.
Happy about it.
The wife wasn't happy, no. But no, Ericsson. The first 2 minutes didn't do much. Just move.
Well,
tap, tap, tap.
Yeah.
And then
I was like, is he going to do something?
Yeah, it was great.
I'm like, he's going to lose this round. He's not doing anything.
That technique was awesome.
And then all of a sudden,
Bang. And
out of nowhere,
every technique he landed was like right on the button.
Yeah.
I thought he was overwhelmed at first, but his that technique was awesome.
Yeah.
He did the whole Muhammad Ali, you know, like move.
His
move.
efficiency of the techniques he threw was, you know, his hit rate was just great. And do you reckon with that tactic of doing nothing and then kind of exploding is, you know, when you do kata, you know, my sensei always said, like the most generic advice, you know, someone does kata and, well, your shigarachi could be a bit lower and make the slow bit slower and the fast bits faster.
Yeah.
And even though it's generic, it always applies because, you know, if you make the slow bit slower, not only and make it already makes the fast bits faster. And so, yes,
there's a
you know,
contrast
Ericsson is fast, but the fact that he kind of did nothing does that accentuate that when he did explode, it's a surprise. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ, like comes out of nowhere.
Well, we'll talk about him later, Agiev, but I thought Ericsson's faster than Agiev.
He seemed fast, and his in-close movement. I mean, his boxing skills of dodging, and amazing. Like honestly, I had him win the first round. I had Khalifi winning the second, maybe. Yeah. I had that 1-1 each until the last round.
Yeah.
Well.
I thought Khalifi was better. He did knock him down in that second round. He did knock Ericsson down.
It felt like he fired up after he knew we lost that first round. He fired up, and then it was
he came out and dominated the second.
And Ericsson kind of did his thing again, but didn't do the second half of it.
Yeah.
He kind of did the nothing.
Although he did a really strong calf kick.
Yeah,
really
but he
strong.
didn't because in that first round he kind of did nothing and then went all in.
Yeah.
You know, whereas in the second round he kind of did nothing and then just did a little bit. And then he knew that I think they both knew going into that third round that it was 1-1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When you go in, I suppose maybe you have a different idea than your camp. You know, maybe you think you dominated it, and maybe the shots that they're doing were glancing shots, so you don't really understand. But when you get to your, as you know, like when you get to the camp, they tell you
got to go, or it's even, or whatever. Yeah, they know. They've been watching the fight.
That's right. Yeah,
they know what the referees.
They know more than us.
More than well, but you're right. Your coaches and that when you go back to your corner, they're more in tune with what the referee's seen because they've seen it from a third person perspective. Whereas you as a fighter in the moment, you've seen it from your first person's perspective. Plus you're thinking your strategies, your tactics. So you're not really thinking about what it looks like. So you know the fight within the fight, but you don't, or under the fight.
There's a Josh Clay Hagan again. But
you don't know what the judges have seen. And so I think, and you know, everyone's corner is honest with them. They try to be as honest as possible. I think there's no benefit not being honest. So
but the third round, dang, did you see that photo?
Well, so
Adam Kovacs put it up on Insta.
Oh really? I saw the replay. I watched it a few times because from one angle it looked bad, and then they showed it from the other angle and I was like,
it was like vomit material. Well, and
then I watched it again.
When I saw it live, I thought oh, he's stumbling. At first I thought when he was moving, he must have twinged his hammy or did something to his calf, but then the commentators are, oh, he got a kick to a calf, but then
earlier in the fight, I do remember him. There was a bit of banter between those two.
Oh yeah,
the whole fight
during the fight or
during the fight
before
but during the fight as well.
Yeah.
You know, a bit of like and that was when I had my MMA fight and I hook kicked the guy and you know obviously didn't knock him out with it, but you know kicked him with the heel, but it wasn't really hard. And he's looked at me and gone, nah. Like he didn't say nah, but he's done the that didn't hurt. And I've just looked at him like, oh yeah, and kind of did a little grin. Like, yeah, sure. And everyone knows that if you say it didn't hurt, then it hurt. Because if it didn't hurt, you wouldn't have said anything.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, they had a bit of that going on. And so he's done like this hard calf.
Yes.
He's like, he's like, what? You know, and there was a bit of that the whole fight. Punch here, kick there. Yeah. And he's done a hard calf kick. And I remember him kind of looking at the ref at one stage.
Yeah,
being like, are you going to call this or what?
Yeah.
Or, you know, and so the ref's like, huh?
Well, I think he thought you couldn't kick at when he was on the ground. Or I can't remember. I can't remember. But
something happened where he was kind of talking to the ref. There was a few times like that, and obviously it's these. Yeah.
Well, what I'd like to know also, the ref is English. I think he was English, and he's speaking English. What are the guys who English isn't their first language?
Like Raphael,
Agev.
Yeah.
I mean, Agev's English is,
and he's there going, you can't kick, you know, above the knee. Do you understand? I mean, it's like someone talking. If you're talking a language I don't understand, you're talking.
Whereas in the WKF, they're Japanese, speaking Japanese. Everybody's doing karate. It's like, I understand the Japanese terminology, but I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Something that we should ask the GOAT.
And as a fighter, if you don't understand what they're saying, do you just say yes anyway?
Yep.
I mean, when I went to live in Japan for a year, I lived there when I was younger. The first 3 months, I just said yes to everything.
That's how you got to Japan. You were there for 2 weeks. But yeah, so look, I had Erickson winning. I thought he controlled it better.
Well, he was winning the third round anyway.
And if it gone to decision, he would have won.
But again,
in my opinion,
with this, he's rolled his ankle, and whether or not, you know, Erickson won that fight fair and square because he's definitely calf kicked him anyway, and maybe has just done enough damage so that he can't move well on that leg and rolled his own ankle. Because you know, no one's going to roll their own ankle when they're just moving left and right normally. On a flat surface while you're moving, it's very unlikely. Someone peak, you know, physical condition, which all these guys are, they're training for a hard fight. Unless it's got some underlying injury, maybe he rolled it, you know, a few weeks before. But I mean, look, when you're getting calf kicked hard, no shin guards, I mean, even just one calf kick hard really hurts,
especially from that ball of
2
muscle
or 3
coming at you.
Yeah, with that speed and power.
Yeah,
God, I mean,
I can't blame him. But what it does set up is another match. It does set up a
rematch.
Totally.
Yeah.
More narrative. And both have certainly a something to prove.
Yeah.
Because Khalifa was like, oh man, I was going to win that fight. Erickson's bro was dominating that fight. So there's going to be more and more banter, more banter.
Do you reckon rematch?
Totally.
Yeah.
And if I was Karate Combat, it's like one of the first ones I would do.
It is a good rematch because although he did calf kick him in, but really he rolled his own ankle.
Yeah.
So no one really knows the result of a
and look, it just takes one punch.
Fair fight.
It takes one kick to knock.
You know, I mean, it would be a good rematch. Yeah.
Let's get onto it. Let's go on to Adam. Let's get that sorted. We'll look after his.
It was a great fight.
Great fight.
Very different styles again.
Yeah. A lot of energy. Pre and post. It was awesome. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, next one.
Varga. Jesus. I mean, Varga is good.
Varga.
He just dominated. I mean, to be honest, by the third round, I actually felt sorry for Tommy Azeus.
I love Tommy Azeus as well.
Yeah, I mean,
He's awesome.
He's a great fighter, but
He's got
Varga
a chin on him.
is just next level,
bro. Yeah. So Varga has a YouTube channel that I've been watching. And he's like your ultimate professional athlete. If he was playing football, baseball, cricket, he would be one of the best prepared.
He could be the top of anything.
The top of anything, yeah. But his work ethic, his training ethic, he's the ultimate professional. It's just a shame that he's coming to Karate Combat at a later. He's like 37 or 38. If he was 25, he could be dominating for the next 15 years. But he did come out and say that he wanted to finish his career with Karate Combat.
Well, no, he said this is he's done, bit of this, bit of that.
Yeah.
A lot of kickboxing, which you can tell from his style, but he said he's finishing his career on Karate Combat. So he's obviously going to be hoping to get a gold belt and hold that as long as possible. And I think, to be honest, he probably will.
But this guy,
the way he fought, Azeus,
he's
who's
so
a great
clinical.
fighter, he just tore him apart.
He's so in tune with who he is and where he's going that he doesn't want to fight for a gold belt next. He wants another match.
Yeah, to warm up for it. Yeah, that's what
because he doesn't think he's at that stage yet.
But he wants a bit more practice in the pit.
Yeah,
in that rule set before, because he doesn't want to lose the title fight.
Yeah,
he wants to win the title fight, so he knows he needs a bit more practice.
Well, look, so if you didn't watch it, stop, click on the button down here. I'll put a link. Go and watch it. But the way that he came out and just pushed Azeus into the corner the whole time, wouldn't let him out. So if I'm fighting Varga next, then I have a plan against that type of fighting. So I think it's really smart him wanting to do another fight before he goes to the title fight. Because if he goes to the title fight, then that person is going to have a plan against his type of fighting. Whereas now he's got a second fight. He's given that person that chance to come up with that plan to try and beat him. And if it doesn't win, then Varga still has another chance to alter his fighting style to combat that person who tried to combat his.
Yeah.
So I think it's really smart, because if I was fighting Varga next, I would be just circle, fake circle.
Yeah,
he's using the pit.
Zeus normally does move really well,
but
he just got caught in the corner and he
could not get out.
Just caught in the corner, up on the pit.
Yeah,
I'm like, don't move.
Oh.
It's easy to say when we're watching.
Yeah,
I know how it is when you.
And we're not even taking into account the smack that Varga got on the top of his head and blood everywhere.
It was a headbutt, right?
Accidental headbutt. Yeah. And so that could have.
But I think it wasn't going in his eye.
No, but it could have rocked his confidence. But this guy is so professional.
He's had 60 stitches in the face, so
yeah. I mean, it could have rocked his confidence on. He's like, oh, should I go in or should I go out? Like, I have to be aware of that headbutt because he got it again.
Yeah,
but with the shoulder. But he's so professional. It's just too good.
It's just a headbutt.
He's a robot.
He would make a great Terminator style kind of bad guy in a movie because he seems like a nice guy.
Might have to put on a few kilos.
He's just got that and just moving forwards. And just slowly eating the space and just
if we chatted to him, we would learn so much.
I reckon.
He would know everything. He would know everything about how Tommy Zeus fight. So, I mean,
you're right. He's very clinical. He's like a.
He's probably got no life. He's an absolute.
He's a nerd.
Karate Combat nerd. Sorry, Jesse and Camp, but Karate Combat nerd.
He'd just be studying, and he'd know he'd know about. I reckon he'd know everything about everyone in his division already. Yeah, everyone in the division.
Yeah. His nickname, Gabriel Clinical Varga.
Is it?
Don't know. Could be. Should be.
The clinic.
Gabriel, the robot Varga. But Tommy Zeus, man. Tommy, bro. Sorry, man. I love watching you fight. I love your personality, but god damn.
But Tommy's still young.
Very young.
He's in mid-20s.
Yeah, 22, 23.
You know,
there's a big difference in their age.
Yeah. I mean, he's, over 10 years more experience. And even though he hasn't had any Karate Combat fights, he's had a lot of fights. Fights are fights.
Yeah.
You get put under the pressure. Yes, it's different rule set. It's different terrain, the pit and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's the pressure.
Yeah.
Is one of the
This was the easiest. I mean, Varga got him in a technical knockout at the end. But this would have been the easiest to judge.
No, there's no, well, 10-9, 10-8, like, but
10-4, 10-4.
No. Look, by the end of it, it's definitely 10-8 because Tommy was just covering up. And do you know what it is? And Tommy Jesus realized this guy's better than me, but I don't want to let him finish me. I want to get to the end, and I'm going to survive. That was, I reckon, what was going through his head, which was, okay, I'm not going to win this fight. It becomes a stage where you realize this guy's better than me.
Yep.
But I'm not in it. And same with jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I'm not going to beat this guy, but I'm not going to tap. I'm not going to let him submit me. I'm just going to at least, you're in a jiu-jitsu tournament. The guy's beating you 10-0. You're like, he's going to win. There's 30 seconds left. There's no way I can submit this guy. He's way better than me. But I'm not going to give him the satisfaction of tapping me. And that's what I reckon was going through Tommy Zeus's head, which was, I'm not going to get knocked out by this guy. I'm just going to cover up. And he was just accepting the takedowns by the end of it in the court. And he's just blocking them because, but what I love about this fight and really all the Karate Combat fights, maybe with the exception of the Swedish and the Algerian French guy, is they hug at the end. There's a lot of respect.
Yeah.
There's a lot of,
Boodle.
Like, Tommy obviously knows how good Varga is. And at the end was like, thanks for that fight. But Varga also has a lot of respect for Tommy, thinking, you didn't give up.
Yeah.
Yes, I beat you, but you're one tough mother, and even when you beat someone, if you realize how tough they are for standing there and taking all those hits and not giving up, you really do respect that person.
Yeah, shit, man.
So there's a lot of respect between those two guys, even though obviously Varga was very dominant.
I can't wait for Varga to fight again. And being a lightweight, bro, he could just keep going.
How many abs does that guy have?
12.
Jesus Christ.
When he goes for a title fight,
he'll have about 24 abs by then.
5 rounds? Man, that guy didn't look gassed at all. Tommy was gassed.
It's easy not to be gassed when you're not getting hit much.
Oh, bro, he just dominated him.
Yeah.
Plus,
getting hit takes it out of you.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one, eh?
So now co-main event.
Really looking forward to this one. They had a really good. I'll leave it to introduce.
No, you say the names. You got Jesus Lopez. And you were saying
versus my man Owen Chelmia. Shane McMahon, Irish heritage. It's my boy. It's my boy. However, watching the pre-fight stuff, Jesus Lopez. So he's from Peru and
coming in with a 3-3 record. Can fight great, but also not that consistent.
Not consistent.
Yeah.
In the pre, they showed he watched his brother get gunned down.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have skipped that bit.
It was really heart-wrenching, bro.
In Peru?
Yeah, in Peru. Yeah. He would have been young, maybe 12 or something.
Yeah.
His brother, maybe 18. Got mixed in the wrong crowd, and his brother got him into karate.
So what, just gang thing, was it?
Yeah, well, and so his brother started karate first, and then he taught Jesus, and then they had a real bond over karate, and that's why he's still training karate now to remember his brother. But he put his brother's murderer still
Out.
unsolved. Yeah.
Mm.
So, but he's put that aside to focus on his karate career because he knows that his brother would want him to focus on his karate career, but he still wants to avenge his brother. It's like an awesome movie that I would pay hundreds of dollars to
I'll
see.
tell you what, if one guy I wouldn't want to be in the bad side of is Jesus.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Exactly. So, especially after all the controversy. But I will say Owen's background was awesome as well. His mum is his sensei. So just like me, came from karate family. My dad started karate in the 60s, and that's all I've ever done. Same as Owen.
Mm-hmm.
So all I know is karate, and that's what all he knows. And if I was 15 years younger, which is probably his age, man, I'd be fighting. I'd be training for same as you, karate combat. For 100%.
All he knows as well is winning at this stage.
That's all he knows.
Coming into this fight, and he's 4-0.
He has done
a pretty good record of karate combat. I don't think many people have better than that.
Especially at that age.
Yeah.
He's just come out of nowhere. But so both of the narratives, both had great pre-stories. There's no banter between them.
They've got their own thing going on.
Yeah, their own thing going on.
Yeah.
They got their own lives going on. They've got their own history, issues, dramas, like we all do. But it was just another great lead up to the fight. So karate combat. Leon, are you doing that? Are you making that noise?
There's something going on, like a little.
Yeah. Okay. So it's another great initiative from Karate Combat that they do these backstories. That's so awesome. You get to know about. So at first I'm like, yeah, man, Jesus, I'm on Jesus's side. I love that backstory. I'm like, oh, bro, Owen, Irish, mate. It's me. Like, we have a lot of similarities. He's a bantamweight. I was 12. So we were the same weight at some stage. But yeah, so I loved it. I loved it. But yeah, anyway, you take it away.
I guess I had with this one.
Well, before we break it down, if you didn't know, this is what happened.
Which I only just found out when you told me.
Yeah.
That it's been reversed.
It has. So at first they had Lopez winning.
Yeah.
And at that time, man, I was almost in tears. It was such an emotional win. His mum was crying. The whole family.
I think I was in tears.
The whole family.
I was teary. I was teary because he came out, his mum and his dad was there, and he was hugging them, and
Peru, like the whole backstory.
And he said,
how he got
I've been doing this for my whole life to get to this moment, to be the world champion.
And here I am.
You know, and honestly, when they told me it was split decision, you know that there's a moment where, so the moment where they're holding your hands, and I've only had one fight, so I'm speaking from my fight experience, but the moment they're holding your hands, and I'm like,
100% more than me.
I won that round. I won that fight. When they said unanimous, I'm like, yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
But if they'd said split,
yeah,
I would have been like, ooh. Because I kind of know that it wouldn't be unanimous for the other guy. I knew, like, I was confident. Actually,
you dominated at least one round.
Exactly. So it wouldn't be unanimous for the other guy, but split, I might actually lose.
Yeah. So
with him, when they said split, I was like, ooh, because I had Lopez winning that fight for sure. And you know, not every round, but overall, I had him winning that fight. And at the time, I remember thinking, I didn't write down, you know, which rounds, but I remember at the time thinking like, ooh, that's unusual a split. You know, maybe I missed something. And when they look at the back count of the points, and even the commentators at the time were saying like, oh, that's strange. You know, they strange that it was split. But anyway, he won, and it's all good. It doesn't really matter, split, not split. At the end of the day, win's a win. But then you told me that a win's not a win. They reversed.
It's not a win. Yeah. Yeah. So something happened with the scoring, and they've given incorrect decision, and Adam Kovacs, the president of the Karate Combat, that would have been hard to come out and hear to addressed the issue the next day.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to him for just
Well,
taking
no.
that on the chin and apologizing
They could have just swept it under the carpet,
and just left it.
Because it's a great narrative that Lopez had won, after the struggles that he's had and whatnot, his whole family being there. But it was the right decision for them to come out and say, no, Chelmia Owen had won. Now, I would love.
I mean, I definitely had Chelmia winning the last round.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
Which I can see you had.
I had him on the first.
But I kind of thought at that stage Lopez was winning.
Yep.
And Lopez was kind of happy to lose that round.
Yeah.
I mean, not happy to lose it, but so. And look, we're not judges. We don't know we don't know the ins and outs of everything.
Yeah.
But watching, I thought it was it's pretty clear, and the commentators too. So, Chelmia, I know you're listening because I've seen you subscribe. So, no disrespect because you're an amazing fighter, but I had it on Lopez at that time, and I guess reversing the decision, that for me that just screams a rematch.
Oh,
it's got to be a rematch,
100%.
right? It's got to be a rematch
because I am sure that
either way, was it close? Like, it was a great fight. It was a great fight. Both of them had their moments. So a rematch would be just a way to settle it.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be. I think they're even talking about it
because really, even a normal split decision kind of warrants a rematch because it's split decision.
Yeah.
Right. But a split decision where the decision's then reversed after the event, that's got to be a rematch for the belt because otherwise you kind of feel sorry for Lopez.
Yep.
Right? Like, Chelmia is still holding his belt. It's kind of, I mean, at the end of the day, in my opinion, split decision, really, if you want to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. You got to beat the champ clearly. And so obviously it wasn't. They don't feel like it was. So I kind of feel like that should be a rematch anyway. But now with the
Well, right from the start, the first round, they both wanted to finish that match in that first round. They were just like, it was hammer and tongs, man, just going at it. And the ref got pissed. He got pissed off.
With the clinch knees.
Clinch knees, yeah.
The clinch knees, yeah.
So
there was a few good. I think Lopez did a few good kind of flying knees. Where he started, he did grab him.
Yeah, that's right.
Like you're not allowed to grab them a knee.
You can't pull
from
into
the clinch.
That's right.
But he kind of did a flying knee and in the air grabbed him. So he kind of like skirted the lines of, well, you're not allowed to from the clinch do a knee.
And look,
sorry, you can do it. You can do a clinch. You can be in the clinch if you're framing off them a knee, but you can't be in the clinch grabbing them. But he's kind of like grabbing them while jumping, and that's considered as its own technique.
Yeah. Well,
he did that quite well.
Possibly the judges don't score those knees,
but they hurt.
Yeah, but they see it as a penalty.
Yeah.
So.
Or maybe that's why he lost. Do you reckon?
Possibly.
If you're doing illegal techniques, though, and we'll have to ask Kovacs this when we get him on, but if you're doing illegal techniques, I thought you don't lose points unless the referee, because usually the referee gives you a warning.
Yeah, but you don't get those points.
You don't get those points. Oh, so maybe we're watching it thinking,
oh, he's up because
he's winning, but they're not counting those. They're not clicking those techniques as strikes. Landed.
I'd love to get the.
We should try and interview a referee.
Yes, exactly. That's just about to
say. Yeah.
We'd love to get.
That way we get a clarification on some rules, write down some questions for them.
Is it pad and pen, paper?
How do they do it? Is it clickers?
If you go to MMA, it's paper.
Yeah.
And so you can easily see. It's funny how this hasn't happened previously, because pad and paper, people make mistakes all the time. So a mistake can be easily done. But I did think that Lopez dominated the fight.
That was the general feel for me overall.
Yeah.
So I wasn't surprised when he won, but when you sent me the link that Kovacs had changed the decision,
I was shocked. Like, oh my god!
I was what?
Yeah.
So
I can see it.
Hopefully, a good rematch, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
if they do it. I mean, Karate Combat should do a rematch.
100%.
I
Adam,
feel that they should.
get onto that, mate.
Mm.
Get onto it if you haven't already. But otherwise, man, both quality fighters. Obviously, Owen's got the gold belt.
Yeah.
Deservedly.
Yeah.
Lopez, I suppose Lopez has to really beat him to get that off. You know, if you're watching a match, to be careful match, you got Agev versus
someone,
no one, right? A nobody.
Yeah.
Referees, everybody knows Agev, and everybody just starts looking at Agev. And if there's a Gakuzuki, oh yeah, he's got it. So you do have that bias already.
If you want to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. You got to beat them.
You have to get 2 points to their 1 point.
Yeah, you got to beat them clearly.
So possibly, I mean, maybe we were watching the Lopez narrative more so because Chelmy has the belt, and we want that underdog. And
True.
maybe that judges are looking at it from the other way.
Yeah.
Lopez,
you can't, if it's a close round, because every round you can't go 10-10.
Yeah.
You have to go 10-9, someone. So if it's a close round and you don't know which way to go, as a referee, what do? Well, you err on the side of the champion.
Yeah.
That's what people do.
Yeah.
You know?
Anyway, Owen, my brother, my Irish brother, stay strong, bro.
Big event, Rafael Agav against Rafael the Panther Agav, which is his fighting name, versus Raymond,
he's
the real deal Daniels.
The real deal.
The real deal, that's what they call him.
He's had the Panther for a long time.
Yeah.
So is that a gimmick from Adidas, do you think? Because Adidas is his main sponsor.
Maybe. Because he has had Adidas sponsor for a long time.
Long time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, to be honest, I didn't really know Raymond Daniels until I kind of looked up, all the stuff that he's done, and he's obviously had a big legacy.
Yeah, he's
kickboxing.
Yeah, a lot of people call him the GOAT for like ISCA competitions.
Yeah, yeah. So it was kind of, and he even said, "I don't want to win. I want to be the GOAT."
Yeah,
and Agav is obviously the GOAT for WKF, and becoming so. I would, obviously. Karate Combat's still young. I think it's a bit early to call GOAT status, but he's definitely
on the
path of GOAT.
I think Agev is considered GOAT in WKF.
I mean, no, he is. What do you mean considered? He is.
Bro, he's 4-0.
Yeah,
but I mean, so was Owen. Tell me up. So
you
wouldn't call him GOAT?
No, exactly, because that's what I'm saying. It's too early. You kind of have to have a long history of wins to be the GOAT, and certainly he could become the GOAT.
Yeah,
he's on the GOAT path.
He's just a little baby goat.
He's a baby goat. He's a baby goat. But man, if you didn't know how good Daniels was, if I hadn't read and heard all these things about him and seen the clip about all the wins he's had, and I just watched this fight in isolation, I would have just thought, oh yeah, this is just Agav beating up on someone again. Like it. He just demolished him.
Look. So in his previous fight, he did a jumping, spinning. Daniel's previous fight, I mean, he had the guy on the pit, and he's done a 180 turn to like do something crazy on him and smashed his neck.
Yeah.
And did you see his neck?
Yeah. Oh, it looked painful.
So he couldn't spar until the last week of the
fight.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So he had no prep. The only prep he had was his body and training.
Fitness, but no sparring. But I mean,
no sparring.
When you're that experienced, you sparred that.
That's what he said
many times.
Well. But
I mean, a lot of people like
mate,
who is it?
I don't know,
from UFC.
You know how it is to get your timing in?
Who's blessed? Holloway, Max Holloway. He doesn't, in his fight camps, he doesn't do any hard sparring for his whole fight camp.
At least he's doing sparring. This guy's doing no sparring.
Yeah, true.
You can't get your distance and timing a week out. You need that.
And then you go to fight the arguable GOAT.
The GOAT.
The baby GOAT.
Yeah, but he did also say.
But Daniels wasn't that was not his best fight. Like I've
definitely not his best
watched his other fights. He's doing all these crazy spinning hook kicks. He did a few times like an axe kick.
Axe kick.
Why didn't he do that again? That was
Why
great.
did he do that right from the start?
Like
To cut
such a short opponent for him,
totally.
and he's just dunk got the axe kick. Man, I
From the
would have
front.
been using that as a jab.
Because Agev, as everybody saw,
Yeah.
he's sitting outside of the pocket and then rushes in. If
He needed to do more straight techniques,
totally knees, straight front kicks, this axe kick, then all of a sudden,
you know what I haven't seen? Side kick to the face.
Who's anyone?
Anyone?
Yeah.
Front kick, side kick to the face. Like, what's wrong with that?
But don't see those in WKF either. So yeah, unless you're training for them, it's not a natural movement, maybe.
Yeah, but for a full contact, you know, like for someone like him, a straight technique is what he needs. So you got side kick to the body. But when
if anybody can do a straight front kick to the face, dude,
Machida did front kick to the face, boom, knockout.
Yeah,
you know,
It's true.
And when somebody's, you know, a foot shorter than you, a front kick or a side kick to the face is easy to do.
Daniels did come out and say he found the height difference really hard. He didn't realize that Agev was
how short he was. Yeah, he's shorter than me.
Yeah,
I remember lining up. He lined up behind me at the World Championships, and
we like,
and I was like, this is before he won the first Senior Worlds.
Hey, mate, should you be in lightweights?
At least I'm not the shortest, yeah.
Hey, under 67, so
yeah. But actually, with that that height thing, I remember I was in the Italian Open, and second round I fought this Swedish dude who was tiny, and you know, like I'm already short in the division, but he was like a head shorter than me. And because I'm used to being short in the division, you know, everyone's kind of half a head taller than me when I'm usually fighting. I'm used to fighting people taller than me, so I'm used to going to the body, you know, with a lot
of advantage,
and kind of moving, but he was shorter than me, and so it did take some adjustment for me because and he ended up beating me, and I just wasn't used to fighting someone shorter than me because I'm shorter than everyone. Everywhere I train, everywhere I compete, I'm shorter than everyone. And suddenly I'm fighting this little dude, but he's tiny, so he's used to fighting.
Yeah,
everyone's bigger than him. I mean, I'm bigger than him, so you know everyone's bigger than him. So I think that's the same with Agev. You know, he's used to fighting.
He's
big people. Bro. He's like,
especially under 75. You've got 6'2" guys in there.
Big people. I remember when I was at the World Championships in Japan, and he beat was it Japan? Was it Finland? But he beat. This was while they still had the Open for WKF, and he beat the Italian, who was the heavyweight champ. So you had the under 70 champ, and you had the heavyweight champ in the Open division, and they all went up to the finals. And it was like this huge dude because he's the heavyweight champ.
Yeah,
and he's not just big; he's good
because
he just won the World Championships for the heavyweight division, and the middleweight champ under 70. You know, Rafael Agev, and you're like, oh, this is good. And of course, Agev won it. But that was a fight. That was a fight because I mean, Agev is small in his division, but against a heavyweight, it was a David and Goliath, and he won. So he's used to fighting big guys, like big guys. So somebody's just a bit bigger.
I will tell you, he's at what is Agev? 5'9"?
Yeah,
5'8".
He wouldn't be. He's not.
Daniels be 6'2".
Yeah.
Like that is a big difference, but didn't matter because Agev, he's throwing those left over bombs.
But Agev does what he does, and he just does it. Whereas, you know, Daniels has a lot of stuff, and against other fighters, he's got a great highlight reel. He's got a great, he's like a video game character with some of the moves that he does. You know, he's
so agile for a big dude.
Oh,
so weird. He's like jelly.
Obviously, against someone who's a specialist, it didn't pay off.
Yeah. You know? Well, so the way I figure it is, if you're the best, everybody has to have a plan around you. Whereas you're the best, you're like, yeah, man, dethrone me. So Agev didn't have to do anything different than his previous fights. Sit outside the pocket and bang and take. And that is what he did. And until somebody comes in and beats him, I mean, Daniels didn't fight great. And Daniels wasn't prepared. And Daniels didn't prepare against a shorter fighter. So if they fight again, then Daniels is be totally.
I think they won't do it. They won't do a rematch anytime soon.
No, I think
maybe in a couple of fights.
Well, I think if Agev fights Quahagan, which is next.
Oh, is it?
Well, Josh Quahagan has a belt, right?
What? But they haven't announced that.
No,
fight.
they haven't announced it yet.
Oh man,
because
if that's the fight, I'd love.
Remember
that.
when we
That
spoke
would
to
be a fight.
Josh Quahagan, and if you haven't watched it, go back and have a look.
Yeah.
He did say he wants to fight the GOAT.
Yeah.
However, whether Josh does it now or whenever, because I mean he's the interim belt holder, right? So it only makes sense for him to fight Josh Quahagan next.
At some stage, yeah. Soon, yeah.
The next KC38.
Oh, that will be a good
fight. Is it enough time for Agev to recover and train again? Maybe.
I don't think he copped that much damage. To be honest, I had him winning every round.
Like, yeah, I did. I went and rewatched the last. I rewatched the last.
I had him losing
the 5th
round. No, I had him. Hang on. I had him
5th.
losing.
He got dazed. He got
either the 4th or the 5th. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely Daniels came back in the 4th and 5th.
I think he changed style in the 4th and 5th, so I'm guessing that must be Daniels.
Daniels changed style.
Changed style, and he was doing more angled shots, and that's I think when he did the axe kick and this and that. So I had him winning 4th. I actually had him winning the 5th as well, but the 5th I was kind of like I gave it to him because either way, he had.
It was unanimous.
He lost the first 3.
It's never going to be a split decision.
Yeah. So basically, it was kind of like whatever. If you don't knock him out, and Agev was playing that because it was clear that Agev thought he was winning.
Yep.
And he did what he does really well from point sparring, which is if I'm winning, I'm running the clock. And in that last round, he knew was winning.
Oh, mate.
And he was just doing the clinch.
Yeah.
5 seconds, reset. There's another 5 seconds. The referee. And you know that's the game.
Smart fighter.
Yeah, you burn the clock if you're winning. So you could definitely, and I think in that last round, Daniels let him clinch too much, and Daniels should have been from the clinch going for things, going for a throw, going for a strike, because he knows he's losing, he knows he's burning the time, so he just has to go. So but no, fantastic card, and those last 2 fights, both co-main events, amazing. If you didn't see them, guys, honestly go and watch them.
Yeah, so I'll put the link into each match, but yeah, it was great. Agev was so good, and I was watching it, talking to a couple of people like live. Everybody's like, Agev's, he's the GOAT. I mean, these are all karate guys, so we all love Agev, but to get Agev on the show, the wheels are in motion. If you watch Seinfeld, the wheels are in motion. The issue that we're going to have is Agev doesn't speak English, so there's got to be a translator. And if you go and watch the Agev post show interview, bro, he is so humble. He is he's also
all about his family and his country.
It's all about Daniels as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to take anything away from Daniels. And he invited Daniels to come to Azerbaijan to fight.
He's kind of like he's a bit of the Federer. He's kind of that Federer feel.
100%.
Everyone loves him.
Everyone loves Federer.
He's great, but also he's
Djokovic.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's kind of would you agree? He's the Federer.
100%, yeah. Whereas Luigi Busa, I would say, is more like Djokovic.
Yeah, but at least I don't mind Djokovic because he actually plays to win.
So Busa,
but Busa, he just doesn't fight, and I hate that style of fighter.
Yeah, I know,
I just hate it. Where at least Djokovic, I enjoy it.
Who won the gold medal at the Olympics? Busa, because Agev couldn't get that point back. Busa is so strong defensive fighter. That's a different.
That's a different story. All right, let's call it a night, guys. Thanks for listening. Subscribe if you haven't already.
Yeah, don't forget to hit subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Discord as well. That was the one I was trying to remember before. I don't even know what I'm doing on there.
And if you've got a company that's looking to sponsor someone, hit us up.
We'll flog anything up. Yeah.